What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TOJ Talks. I'm your host, Will Parkinson, at WillPod11 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Special kind of midweek episode here. No emergency pods, nothing crazy going on. But week 15 battle between the Jets and the Jags for Travis Hunter. Coming up here on Sunday. Connor's gonna be having something special dropping on Saturday. Our guy is way too famous and is doing a million different jobs, so figured flip flop a little bit there. I want to kind of talk about a few things here. This will be a 15, 20 minute or so episode. Um, you know, I'll talk a little bit about Jets Jags, just kind of some observations, and kind of 3, 4 days later, what to make of Jets Dolphins. I want to talk about a couple of things kind of going on in the football world that may directly affect the Jets. Firstly, Bill Belichick, as of about an hour ago, did take the North Carolina football job on a 3-year contract worth about $30 million. Had heard earlier in the week, folks around the program to prepare themselves. Bill was going to be coming, and it's a crazy move. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't know how it'll work. Look, college football has never been more like the NFL in terms of recruitment, the portal, salary caps, NIL, all transfer, everything is insane. In very similar structure where there's GMs and there's coaches and there's just so much advancement in the college game. And in a lot of programs, that head coach, is everything. And there's a lot of programs where it's a collaborative process and the whole 9 yards. I think the craziest thing to me is that it felt like for the longest time, hey, Bill get a job when he got fired last year, and he didn't. And, it seemed like Atlanta wanted to have him coach, but they weren't really intrigued at Bill having total control. And that was really the only job. And then, the Eagles started out and had a couple losses early on. You're like, ooh, Bill's hanging out with Patricia around the facility. And he was at Monday Night Football early in the year, I believe, against Atlanta. And it was like, oh, that was weird. Maybe Dallas. Dallas kept struggling. And the Giants' job looks like it might be coming open. Jacksonville's been a hot topic with Bill Belichick. And I kind of felt like I had settled on Bill will end up the Giants, or the Jacksonville Jaguars coach. They'll give him in New York. It'll probably be, maybe they'd fire Dable and keep Shane and have, Bill there, and Bill would bring his whole squad, the love affair he had with the Giants, and maybe he got the indications the Giants truly aren't actually moving off of, Dable and Shane as Mara has suggested. Jacksonville was the one to me, a job that we pretty 100% positive almost that'll be open, come January 8th, I believe, or 10th or 9th, whatever it is. It kind of felt like Jacksonville was the team that was going to say, hey, Bill, patient owner, not a lot of division that's pretty fucking shitty, to be honest. We got a young quarterback that's locked in for a long time. You don't got to draft your own guy again. No matter how you feel about Lawrence, like he's at least he's at least a top 16 guy. I think he's, he varies between like 11 and 19, depending on any given Sunday, which is a lot of why he's in the middle of the pack. But he's locked in, and there is some pieces there in a Josh Hines Allen, and they're building a new stadium and all that stuff. And Bill's chasing that wins record, and the Jaguars seem like a team that he could bring. Patricia is his DC, Josh McDaniels is his OC, bring his kids, do the whole 9 yards. Whether Trent Baalke stays or goes, or the whole thing. And the reason I say it affects the Jets is because you wonder, is Jacksonville a team that now may pivot to a Mike Vrabel and give him total control and say, hey, the Jets might be a better on paper roster by a lot, and the, big market and the whole thing, but why not come here and be our guy for same amount of money but total control? Or I'm just hypotheticals, right? And hey, could Bill have taken maybe the Cowboys job, or if the Eagles had popped open, or one of these other ones, or the Giants, whatever it may be? Point being, like, him going to North Carolina doesn't like hurt the Jets. I mean, it doesn't help the Jets at all. It doesn't hurt them necessarily right now, but it'll be interesting as a name to watch. That does him taking that job. I kind of had him penciled in for one of the openings, and it looks like that won't be the case. In terms of some other Jets things, look, I know Joe and Connor touched on it on Tuesday's episode, and a lot of people have tweeted about the 30 for 30 will be out on Friday. I'm excited to obviously dive into sack exchange stuff. But the Gastineau Favre thing was a tough watch. And it's not necessarily to do with Favre or Gastineau or what Gastineau was upset about. I get it, man. Like he feels like that's the reason he's not in the Hall of Fame, and that sucks. Like I don't blame him. I'm not blaming him in any way, shape, or form. Brett Favre's obviously off the field does not seem like, from everything we've maybe seen and some of the other stuff, doesn't seem like the best guy. I'm not going to get into all that. I don't know enough of the facts. I just what you read is not great. And I don't know. And yeah, I'm sure he did take a dive, and I'm sure Gastineau's pissed, and I'm sure Brett's like, "What? Michael's my guy," and I don't see the problem with it. It's just you don't usually. I think Connor said this. You don't usually see those altercations. I was more watching that, saying, "I hope Mark Gastineau's doing all right." Seems like potentially fighting some stuff. I know he's fought through. I think he a bunch of different illnesses and things he's fought through, and I'm interested to see the documentary. It was a wild scene to watch that, and I don't blame Mark for being pissed. And I'm sure Brett probably is like, dude, it's like records are meant to be broken. Michael was my guy, whatever. And I'm not saying that's the right thing or the wrong thing. I'm just saying he probably doesn't view it the same Gastineau does, and maybe it's a split amongst Jets fans. And it was annoying that it's a Giant that broke a Jets record and all that stuff. I guess my overall take is like I don't really have a take. It was kind of tough to watch. That was really my take, I guess. I'm overall excited to see the documentary as well. In terms of Jets Dolphins, just kind of putting a bow on that game. This is kind of where I land, and I know I'm generally more optimistic. I understand that I'm not. I don't know. I care. I'm passionate about the team, man. Like it is what it is. I'm there every Sunday. I bleed it 365 days a year, and like that's it is what it is. And naturally, like I'm just not a negative person like that. It's not fun to live in that reality. Like I don't know, stewing in negativity is not enjoyable. I come away from this season, and specifically, I would say post bye week, Colts game forward. So Colts game Seahawks, and Miami. And again, we'll see how it finishes up here, but I actually feel like I come away from the season overall and this stretch of games being like the head coach coming in and the GM coming in, kind of pretty good roster, man. Like a lot of pieces to work with. They're not that far off. There's the games decided by one score, running schedule. Sorry, my head's in a soccer space. Bayern Munich 5-1 victory yesterday. Weston McKennie and Tim Weah, nice victory over Man City today. But yeah, the Jets would be 7-5 right now if they just flipped, the games they've lost and the games, if they'd flipped into a different result than the one-score games. And it's kind of a true testament to some luck, but mostly I feel like it's a lot of coaching. And I'm not saying that the only thing wrong with this Jets team is coaching. There's holes for sure, and there'll be guys to replace in the offseason, but the core of this group is still really good, and I still think a lot of it is what we thought it was going to be. Garrett Wilson's open all the fucking time. And he's awesome. And he cooked Jalen Ramsey for the most yards he's given up in a game as the nearest defender in almost a decade. Highest paid corner in the NFL, by the way. Devontae Adams, I don't know if he'll be here next year. It kind of feels like he'll go where Aaron goes. It seems like if Aaron retires, from my perspective, it's a better chance he's here. And if Aaron goes somewhere else, Devontae may want to follow him. We'll see on that one. I'd like to see the two of them play together. That duo is really awesome. And you see when they have a third receiver that can play outside, they can do a lot of Garrett in the slot, a lot of Devontae in the slot. And that's where these guys can really dominate. And you saw Rodgers put up 350 yards. And there was yards out there for sure. From an Aaron perspective, he missed Garrett a couple times, missed Devontae a couple times, but he also, had some crucial drops. It's probably he would have been well over 400 yards, right? So I come away going, wow, no Breece Hall, and they've got a legit running back 2, running back 3 in the stable right now. They're on cheap rookie contracts, going to be going into year 2. Can Davis put on 5-10 pounds of muscle going into his first true NFL offseason? Can Braylon Allen continue to develop and continue to round out his game and see where he's going to go? No, that doesn't mean they should trade Breece Hall. That I'm shocked. I've seen so much discourse anti-Breece Hall. Breece Hall has been playing through quite a bit of injury, and especially the last couple of weeks. And I personally would shut him down for the year because of where the Jets are. And he's a guy that I know Joe and Connor touched on this a little bit of that class. I'm of the mindset, and I honestly feel like I've said this for like 6 months, and I will continue to say it this offseason. Not only would I go to Garrett Wilson, that's a conversation I think I'll touch on at the end. I'll leave the Breece Hall and Garrett thing for the end. The rest of the offensive line generally before Morgan Moses goes out was really good, and I still think they were pretty decent. They just were really limited on the right side, and Miami started to pick up on that when Max Mitchell came in. But generally, like Olu looks like a franchise left tackle. That's exciting to come into. Wide receiver one, top 15 guy in the league at minimum, top 10 back in the league. A 21-year-old franchise left tackle potentially that looks like he's only going to get better and better as time goes on. Run blocking is actually ahead of where I probably thought it was going to be. The pass blocking is really good. That's kind of what we expected. John Simpson is one of the better value left guards in the league right now. $5 million next year, like that's awesome. Joe Tippmann's a good center, and he should continue to get better. And and even if he maxes out this, like you don't need him to be a superstar, you need to be good, right? Like that's awesome. AVT, I feel like is getting more like AVT, and I do think consistently having an off season where he can actually, just get better and not have to start from -5 rehabbing. He could start the offseason at 0, just like everybody else. I think would be big for him. It's the first time it'll happen, hopefully, in 2+ years. And then I'd like to see, obviously, them bring back Morgan Moses, and maybe add a swing guy in day 2 of the draft. Maybe add someone in the veteran market that has right tackle experience and can kind of, just in case Moses, gets banged up again, because it is, as much as he's a warrior, you do worry at some point you just start to continue to get hurt as much as he's played through it. But I'm sure realistically, even as much as he was playing through a lot on Sunday, I do wonder where the Jets kind of saving him from himself a little bit, because they are 3-9, 3-10. I'm not saying they did that. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't blame them if they did. But generally speaking, like, those are some really good core pieces. Most of your offensive line, 2 wide receiver ones if Devontae's back here, and even if he's not, you'd have to add one. But still, and that's what I felt like coming out of that game. And I know I'm higher on Tyler Conklin probably than most, but I feel like anytime Conklin gets the ball, like he's open all the time. Rodgers just refuses to throw him the football, which is insane. And I don't see a problem with him being back here on a 2-year, $14 million deal, 2-year, $13 million deal. You're paying $7 million next year in dead cap money because of Joe Douglas anyway. So I'd rather him just be here. And you can go draft your athletic guy to be his backup, or the athletic guy that they kind of split reps. And, Conklin, when he's out on the edge, I think does a good job blocking. I don't think one-on-one he's a great inline blocker, but he was never supposed to be that. That's kind of the whole joke of it, is like, that's not why he was brought here. He's brought here to run corner routes, seam routes, those kind of 20-yard deep outs and run a bunch of stick routes one-on-one and win. And he does do that. He does that at a nice job. He's a really good contested catch guy.